Hello, welcome back to another day in the life of the Biden regime here on episode 121 as we count down the days of the thief in chief. Yeah, the thief in chief. Yeah. Okay, keep going. Yeah, we've tried to give him a vacation. He won't take it. He's got to be here for that. Anyway, Danny Thompson here. If you'd like to catch up at any time with all of our offerings, you can do it on YouTube channel Danny Thompson, on Rumble channel DANWT. And then you can keep up with us or wherever you're watching from. We do post on a lot of social media, but it goes through those two things. We do have this announcement from Jen Psaki to start the day. A little unusual, sorry.
Today marks 6 months since President Biden was inaugurated as President of the United States. Time flies when we're having fun, right, everyone? Okay.
6 months of this terror. That's why today felt so bad, but there is good news because it is also, ladies and gentlemen, Taco Tuesday, as we bring, what are we going to call him? Tito, the smiling taco, to let us know it's Taco Tuesday. I don't know. Works for me. I did not mean that to harm anyone. So we'll just name it Taco. Okay, there we go. Now today, I'm not sure how we're going to go on some things. It just started out as kind of, okay, let's see what we've got. And then it just started growing. And part of me wants to go deeper into things and do more opinion things. But then at the same time, we could just dash through things because there's always so much. I mean, these people have been busy. See, under Trump, they told us, they're doing all of this and they had to look for things and manufacture things to really get upset about. But with Biden, everything they do is upsetting. And not just, that's because you're more of a conservative and they're more liberal. And so it'd be the same if you were liberal versus conservative. No, under Trump, you could tell they had to manufacture things. But under Biden, it's not just the attack on the legislative process. It's they claim to have the answers for everything. Remember that? Going to bring world peace. They're going to bring respect to us on the foreign stage. They're going to go through all of the racism and bring us together, bring us back to unity and do common sense things. Of course, I don't know why anybody expected Joe Biden to do common sense things. Again, has no one ever paid attention to this man? He, in common sense, parted company a long time ago. Okay, well, whatever the reason. I mean, he's an interesting mix of mixed up opinions on almost every subject. I mean, Joe... The one predictable thing about Joe is he's always going to be Joe. He's just, Joe is one letter away in English from the word joke. Yeah, I'm just saying, just saying. Now, right now, it'd be bad joke. Horrible joke. Who's laughing now joke. But anyway, we're going to get into some things today. We're going to revisit some trans issues. And again, why do you do this? Because they're pushing this. Why? See, you can't be honest about anything with this regime. You can't be honest about it. Even reporters, you can tell, because we're going to look at some things today, and you can tell they want to push, but they know not to. They can't do it because they'll be cut off. And there's so much, and it's all under the heading of control. These people, see, everybody said Trump wanted to control. And yeah, he expected if he spoke as president, everybody was going to run and do it. I don't know where he had been all of his life, because that's not the way presidents are treated. maybe he watched Obama too much and got used to Obama's people always running and treating Obama like he was king. Well, Trump should have known. He watched George Bush. He watched Bush's dad and Ronald Reagan. Nobody jumped when they spoke. Congress didn't shake and say, oh, the president has spoken. So, a lot of times politicians, they think, oh, it'll be different because it's me. But Trump, he couldn't exercise that control. And he wanted it. I don't mean that bad against him. I think you can say, yes, Trump wanted more control. He wanted to run the country like he did his business. I speak and it happens. Well, that doesn't even happen in the executive branch. Okay, it's government. And so many people who have never been in government, they get in and they're lost because it doesn't work like a normally functioning world. Okay, that's one of the things you learn if you pay attention, even if you've never been in it. Now, part of this, I understand because I've been involved in church and denomination for a large part of my life, and it's the same thing. It doesn't function normally because of all the power structures, people who want to do their thing, and you can't fire people. You just can't fire people and move them around where you want in church and denominational structures. It doesn't work that way. Okay, and I'm not saying it should, it just doesn't. So people who come in, it's like someone who's never ran a business and they think, oh, you should do this and do that. And all of a sudden it's your business and you start saying, wow, I didn't understand. See, so people get into government, they don't understand, but the people who have been in it a long time, they do understand. And they know how to work it. So while Trump, obviously not autocratical, dictatorial control, he just wanted everything to work like it did when he was president and CEO and whatever of the Trump organization. He wanted that kind of loyalty, that kind of respect, that kind of obedience. Well, it's not going to happen. Now, Biden wants control. And he and his people, and not so much him, because again, there's one letter missing from Joe's name to make it sound right. Joke, because this is the worst joke ever played on the American Republic, we should say. All right? So there's so many things they're doing to undermine our society and make what's wrong normal, but it's not even to help those people, it's to establish control. It's to put their print on everything and change us in a way that we can never fully come back from. They want their mission, their job, is to take that giant step forward. Obama, for 8 years, his steps were small. The Biden people come in, they're taking giant steps because we never fully recovered from everything Obama did. No, we didn't. Trump tried, but there had been enough steps taken. Now, Biden, the people now have learned from their Obama mistakes. We took too small of steps while we were the ones stepping. So they're coming in, they're taking these giant steps. They just want to get it done. Because they know the smaller the step, the easier it is to reverse it. So they're taking giant steps. And it's not just in the economy, but it's to control everything. The way you think, the way you live, the way you breathe, literally. And they're doing things no one ever thought anybody would come in and do. And we thought that under Obama. But something happened. Something happened during the Clinton years. And the Clintons tried. They couldn't get it done. And I still don't think they understand why. Obama came in and said, I will do it. What happened under the Clinton years is they were still following, by and large, the process. Now, Hillary was trying to push it around, but see, Obama just said, I'm not following the process. What are they going to do about it? Because we don't have any mechanisms in place to enforce the process. It's just said, this is how it just says in the Constitution and other laws, this is how it works, and we expect people to do it. There's no punishment. because Congress is supposed to check the executive, and the judicial is supposed to check both the executive and the legislative, and the executive and legislative is supposed to keep the judicial in check. That's the way it's supposed to work. But there is nothing to do except impeachment and removal from office, by and large, if nobody obeys that process. And we really don't have any defense against the ways they do social issues. And so today I'm a little more thoughtful, but you have to understand what they're trying to do. You have to understand what all of these big spending programs are. It is to drastically change society and, if possible, to ensconce them into power for at least a generation. And by then, that they know there will either be a huge backlash at some point, but they'll have so much ingrained that it'll be hard to come back all the way and they can return to power as they have, or they'll never lose power. Okay? So this is their goal, and not Biden's goal. I don't think Biden could put all this together if you gave him the answers. I really don't. I don't mean that unkind. It's just how it is. But one thing I learned during the Obama time is that these people will take as big a step as possible and wait to see if there's any pushback against it. And there's some things they do and they're surprised there's no pushback. So they keep going until there is. And then there's some things they barely mention it and everybody like, no, we're not going to have that. Well, it's still the same thing. Let's see how far we can go before people start pushing back. That's what they're doing with the border. That's what they're doing with spending plans. That's what they're doing with their social agenda. How far can we go before everybody starts pushing back again? Trump surprised them because basically everybody was quiet until the 2016 election. And then Trump shook them. So much so, they've decided there will never be another Trump. That's their decision. They're doing everything they can to ever keep another Trump from happening. They don't mind someone from the ranks coming up because they can deal with that, but they can't deal with another Trump. So we always have to keep that in mind because nothing is just the agenda they speak, it's the agenda they're following. And they're very dishonest. They're the most artful liars that the country has ever seen. And they just continue on. And if they don't want to answer questions, we'll see today, they can just shut it down. And everything is for a reason, though. And the reason is we have to control. We have to keep the narrative. We must be in charge, or how can we do this to the country? And the one thing we're going to find out they are deathly afraid of, no pun intended, is a COVID resurgence. And we're going to see how hard they are working and the steps they are going to keep people from thinking that COVID is coming back and it's beyond their control, which it is. And today, that crack begins. So we're going to get in. We're going to start with other things. I don't know how far we'll go. But as usual, we start with the poster child. And today I'm not really happy. Not with them. I mean, I'm a happy person. So I think we're just going to do this song, this portion of this song, just especially for Dr. Rachel Levine today. We usually save it for others but you'll understand. Because in every sense of the word, Dr. Rachel Levine is a walking lie. And that's what we're told to accept in society now. Accept the walking lie. I've been nice. It's just fantasy. But it's a walking lie. And the more we get into things, you find out everything's a lie. It's not, oh, we're trying to help people, we're trying to do this, and oh, we want, no, everything that they do, it's not about help, it's about hurt. They like hurting people. They like controlling people. They don't care how many died from COVID. They care how many escaped their grasp. That's all. Let's keep going. I know it's going to be one of those shows. I'm sorry. All right. There's the lovely new there's 3 covers for Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition. There's lovely number 1, contestant number 1. Oh, Sports Illustrated reveals its swimsuit cover stars, including first transgender model. That's right, Lena Bloom, the first transgender Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I don't... Why not just put a man in a man's swimsuit on there and say it's for everybody? Why do you have to do that? You know, why do that? Because it's a lie. It's a lie. They're pushing a lie. That is not a woman. It's not even transsexual, it's transgender. A transgender woman is a man lying to you. And now we're going to find out that as we already knew, but finally some pieces are coming out for this time. They have in other times, but during this time, some people are saying, hey, we've got to get the word out about this. I'm going to take a little time and do this, and if this is all we do, that's fine. But behind the little arrow is San Diego's gay pride flag. Opinion. It's in Newsweek, but it is opinion. Might trauma affect gender identity? Might trauma affect gender identity? Huh. Wow. Well, there's a thought. Another month, another social milestone. On June 27th, Catalina Enriquez, remember him, the first Miss U.S. Nevada who isn't a Miss? Yeah, I know. Became the first transgender woman in history to be crowned Miss Nevada USA, thereby qualifying to compete in November in the International Miss USA contest. But like other recent firsts, Enrique's story tactically excavates a question that some want to leave buried. Might there be a relationship between trauma and gender self-reassignment? And you know, we'll say right off, that's not true in every case, but the grand promotion of this in society does influence a lot of children, and you know that it does. As Enriquez was the first to note, the new Miss Nevada has a troubled past. Both parents left the future beauty pageant winner behind in the Philippines with friends as they immigrated elsewhere to find work. In one interview, Enriquez disclosed that he, says she, but we're going to read he, is a survivor of physical and sexual abuse. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, absent and or divorced parents, these details riddle stories now emerging from beyond the binary. Considering a recent piece in USA Today, stars like Demi Lovato, Elliot Page, Sam Smith identify as non-binary. What does that mean? Every celebrity named in it shares 2 biographical commonalities: absent parents, almost always because of divorce, and a self-reported history of childhood and or adolescent abuse, in almost all cases sexual. Now see, this just, you start realizing, if you didn't before, many of you already knew that, this is nothing to celebrate then, is it? It's not just people like, oh, I'm born in the wrong body. It's like it was found out, but again, it's been hushed, that for a while, the large number, before everything was out in the open, once things get out in the open, become more commonplace, you have people that are just influenced to go certain ways through different popular means of expression and news and movies and culture. But as was found out early on, the large majority of homosexual men had been abused. And that's why they were homosexual. Again, not everyone, but a large majority. Now it's different because of the way culture has gone. But where are the roots? I read, let's go ahead and take Dr. Levine off. I don't want to look at him today. Took some time today to read of a story that actually in Germany, from the 70s up to about 2000, that there's this one homosexual psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever he was, and he came up with a plan. His thought was unwanted children would feel and experience love more in households by men who like children. And that would give them a sense of being. And I was reading, it's very long, so I didn't get to finish it. But he helped actually place young boys in homes with pedophiles. And the government paid for it. Because that would help both. You see, hardly any of this is just manufactured. And this German psychiatrist came from a very authoritative German military officer upbringing. Didn't feel any emotion with his dad or anything and all that. So he wanted male affection, etc. And he noticed that most men with problems came from, problems in the home. And he thought they would be able to fix kids who came from problem homes because they fixed them all right. They hurt them. They did horrible things. They do what pedophiles do when you give them a child. And of course, most of the boys being young, they's like, okay, well, how did we know it wasn't supposed to be happening? We came from troubled backgrounds. See, society causes this. Not in almost every case, either through abuse or through culturally accepting and promoting. And there's always this fine line. How long will we just culturally accept until we promote? See, and what are they demoting while they're promoting? They're demoting all normal values, aren't they? So what they're telling young people is the normal way is the sick way. This way, this is the free way. This is the great way. This is the expressive way. Oh yeah, basically it comes through a lot of abuse. It comes from being lonely and hurt, and after you're celebrated, nobody cares because inside something isn't right. But that's okay. And you say, Danny, why is this here? Because the Biden regime is promoting this and forcing it and enforcing it. They're doing it by talking about it. They're doing it by demanding schools follow their rules or they don't get federal funds. They're fighting states that are trying to pass laws to protect children from being exploited. Only they say keeping them the gender that they are is exploitation. So yeah, let's just keep going. This is why this is all so important. This is why we spend time on it. That's why we have Dr. Rachel Levine's face for you to see every day so you don't forget what they're trying to do. That's why we do this show, so you know what they're doing and what they're up to. or we'll just all become numb to it. It'll just be, oh yeah. And that's what society wants. That's what these people want you to do. Just start accepting it as normal. That's why Dr. Rachel Levine is there. It has nothing to do with his qualifications or what he can do. He is there to make you think it's normal for someone to be like that. Demi Lovato is a child of divorce. And divorce, of course, we know you can divorce and it doesn't turn people, but when there's divorce and then how do I say this? A lot of times, if your parents care about you, them getting in a divorce and they spend time with you, that's not going to stop that. May alter it some because, there's not two parents in the home. But divorce with lack of proper parental contact, and then you add in abuse, well, you've got problems for kids. I think everybody understands that. Well, these are not remedies. These are escapes. These are ways to turn your life pretending something didn't happen, but it's still there. Demi Lovato is a child of divorce. Lovato has also reported having been raped as a minor as one of Disney's kiddie stars, and again years later by a drug dealer from whom the singer bought opioids. Elliot Page, used to be Ellen Page, born female and known before transition as Ellen Page, first identified as a lesbian and was married to a woman. They have since divorced. Page now identifies as both transgender and non-binary, using pronouns he, him, and they, them. Page, too, is a child of divorce and reported having been serially abused and harassed as a minor in Hollywood, including sexually. So again, these are not just, I just feel like a man or I just feel like a woman. These are people trying to run away from the problem. But you cannot run away from who you are. You can't do it. So the problem never goes away. It only intensifies and starts manifesting in other directions. Musician Sam Smith is another celebrity newly adopting the non-binary label. Born male, Smith is also a child of divorce and further reports experiencing violent homophobic abuse throughout childhood and adolescence, as well as homophobia and bullying in the gay community. One might also consider Queer Eye's Jonathan Van Ness a child of divorce, who reported having been sexually abused as a teenager by an older boy in his family's church. Another trans pioneer cited often is Lena Bloom, the first transgender model to appear in Sports Illustrated swimsuit series, and the first transgender actor of color with a leading role in a film screened at the Cannes Film Festival. Raised motherless, Bloom too divulges having been raped as a child, as well as having engaged in the potentially traumatic transactions known as sex work. In other words, being, prostituted. The suggestion that gender migration might owe something at all to outside influences is vehemently denied by today's establishment. Consider the uproar that greeted journalist Jesse Singal over 2 years ago following an essay he wrote for The Atlantic called When Children Say They're Trans. Despite its earnestness and observance of all current language, being politically correct, the piece nonetheless became a lightning rod, in part because it suggested that environmental factors might be overlooked en route to transition. One therapist told Singal, I take full, complete review of systems, and I always take a trauma history, and the vast majority of my patients have trauma histories. And the writer says she added the emphasis there. But that is true. And that can be shown. But no, we can't say, hey, there's something wrong here because that interferes with their right of self-expression to be who they are. And there are people, they want boys to be girls to further their causes and to break down society. It's just like they want women to get abortions. They want babies to die to break down society and to further their causes. It's not about a woman's right to choose. It's about tearing down society. They want divorce. There are people that are happy because they've done this to the black community, and they've seen the more federal money we can pump into a place, the more we destroy the family, and now they're doing it to everybody they can. Who are the only people they're not doing it to? The rich. Why? Because federal money won't mean anything to them, and they want a certain elite class of people left untouched to rule the world. I know that sounds conspiracy everywhere, Danny. You've bought in. It's the truth. It's the truth. This isn't about your freedom of expression. It's about their ability to rule and control. Biden can say all he wants. I want to build from the bottom up and middle out. He knows and they know that doesn't work. All it does is trap people. And then you'll have to become part of their great society that is horrible and not great. All right. Evidence also suggests that histories of abuse and trauma are not unique to transgender and non-binary celebrity. As one 2017 article in the journal LGBT Health put it, transgender women have consistently reported elevated rates of lifetime physical and sexual abuse. It concluded, given these associations, as well as the high prevalence of physical and or sexual abuse among transgender women, men who identify as women, mental health professionals and social service providers working with this population should be sensitive to the abuse history and mental health needs of the transgender women with whom they work. In other words, it's not just as simple as, oh, I'm a woman. No, why? Why? Not just because you feel like it. What happened? What's pushing you this way? But we can't say that because why? Because they have a right. And that's what they want to be. And we don't have a right to look in and try to help them be something they don't feel that they are. But why don't they feel that way? What other than just social pressure makes an 8-year-old boy want to be a girl? There's got to be a reason. They don't have sexual desire at 8 years old. A 4-year-old doesn't know what he or she is usually. They don't even understand the concept of boy and girl yet. So how come they can choose? Why would they know even to choose this if it wasn't promoted somehow? There's always an underlying reason. And yes, sometimes it's just attention. Okay, let's deal with that. But no, we've got to play the game, don't we? A 2021 article in Pediatrics by a team of researchers found that violence and victimization is not only widespread among a national sample of transgender and gender diverse individuals, gender diverse, help us, Lord, that it is often first encountered early in life as childhood abuse. The article also singled out the growing body of research in which researchers emphasize that transgender diverse adolescents' experiences often include childhood trauma. So, and again, this is not something, oh, I'm just thinking this. No, this is stuff that is proven. As more and more transgender individuals share their personal stories, such statistics take on unexpected new life. Last month, the New York Times ran an essay called What I Saw in My First 10 Years on Testosterone by one more path breaker, Thomas Page McBee. the first transgender man to box in Madison Square Garden, meaning a woman being a man. McBee celebrated the new trans-confessionalism. The tide has turned, McBee wrote. Our insistence that we are the architects of our own stories has only grown. Okay. Don't you hate it when people talk like that? McBee's memoir, Man Alive, A True Story of Violence, Forgiveness, and Becoming a Man, tells a terrifying story. It recounts years of sexual assault at the hands of the author's own father, beginning when McBee was 4. The author writes, "It is still hard to capture the salty terror of the worst of it, the freeze, the split, how I lost a body, or how I conflated the two ways my body was lost to me. These are searing, terrible words, and they suggest a clear, logical leap from hating what is done to one's body to rejecting that body." Yeah, you don't have to be a renowned psychiatrist to understand that, do you? What if any, and no, not all react this way, obviously, but some do. You know, some people see somebody shot and they go, you know, and dying from them. They're like, okay, it's terrible and all that. And then some people withdraw and hide in the closet. We don't know why different people react differently, except they're different. And no, why? I know. The question is, why don't we do more about child abuse? Well, yeah, we want to stop it. We say that, and most people do, but we still want what it produces if we're on the wrong side of reality. And these people want what it produces. Danny, that makes them sick. Exactly. Exactly. That's how come when you say, I'm tired, I was just tired of Trump. That's it. So you vote in all of this? Again, it's not the poor. It's not Miss Nevada. I mean, obviously the person's in trouble. It's the people that push it. It's the people that press it. So how come in church you say, no, we care about you, but you've got to tell them the truth? That's why in society we say, no, we understand. Your child has, needs help. They need love. Let's look at this and help them. Because their answer is not becoming a girl or a boy. It's being the boy and girl that they were made to be. But the people behind this are evil and twisted. And they want to hurt, and they reap the benefits of hurt. I don't know if this will stay up on YouTube, but okay. What, if anything, might help the individual scarred by such sufferings? Trauma deniers dismiss past abuses as inconvenient impediments to hormone shots and surgery. Such indifference ignores research documenting the multiple heavy crosses borne by abuse survivors. As a meta-analysis of studies concluded in a paper for the Mayo Clinic Proceedings, a history of sexual abuse is associated with an increased risk of a lifetime diagnosis of multiple psychiatric disorders. The fact that abuse so often entails other serious problems should alone demand higher scrutiny of any patients with such a history, transgender or otherwise. Given today's transition-first absolutism, a more nuanced approach would be a step forward in itself. In other words, why go there first? Why accept first that's the best thing for that person? What not? I mean, we don't do that with everything else. Why not say, okay, let's look at why you want to be that way? Second, the question of childhood trauma suggests that medical professionals take caution over protocols that put hormones and scalpels first. Their current status as cure-alls surely incentivizes quick buck diagnosis. It also de-incentivizes extended therapy and non-hormonal medications that might deliver authentic long-term relief. You know, it's like giving somebody a pain pill. Well, yeah, that'll help take away the pain. It may also lead to their death as they are hooked on that medication. There are other answers. But the patient didn't want to do therapy. Well, that doesn't mean you give in to addicting them to opioids. Sometimes they just have to figure it out. And we won't let people do that because we have easy ways, but those easy ways hurt. And then society pays a huge price to fix it later, or, as in this case, to try to reorder society to fit the agenda. We're spending a lot of money to combat opioid abuse, and it shouldn't have started in the first place. But doctors just want to help people. Well, you've got to learn what help is, doc. And it's not helping people get hooked on things. Sometimes it's unavoidable. But there are things we can't avoid, and they do not have to be national tragedies. Again, more people overdosed on drugs in 2020 than any year we know of. And a lot of that was opioids. I know I'm hitting everything, but it's all related. Trauma deniers insist that transition-forward medical professionals know best. But as history has lately shown, well-meaning doctors buffeted between suffering patients and aggressive medical marketing can make catastrophic mistakes, especially when substantial industry profits are on the line. Last time around, just such a toxic trial produced the greatest self-inflicted public health catastrophe, in American history, the opioid crisis, as I'm already going on about. As we learned then, or should have, the fact that desperate patients will beg doctors for specific products should not trump the Hippocratic Oath. Do your patient no harm. Right? No one is suggesting a unified field theory about anything as complicated as transgenderism, but at a minimum, the troubling autobiographical details offered up by some transgender and non-binary individuals themselves suggest new grounds for questioning the current consensus. And that was in Newsweek, and here is the author, Mary Eberstadt. And so you can look up there the views expressed in this, and yeah, she's Catholic, so dismiss it. Okay. Oh, no wonder Catholics. Well, it's common sense. It's not about religion. It's about the people involved. Which these people, they say they care about, and they don't. Such as secular Democrats of America. They don't care. Find them at seculardems.org and find out how much they don't care. All right. I know. Danny, you just go on about that too much. Probably not enough. I know I took most of the show in it, but I think it's vitally important to not just the individuals involved, but to our nation's future and to children that are coming up now that are going to be pushed into this. All right, so they ask about voting issues.
Go ahead.
First of all, happy 6 months, and this is about that. A follow-up to Kelly, what she was saying. I spoke to members of the Democratic caucus last night who think that even 6 months in, our democracy is hanging by a thread. Is the president aware of that sentiment among the Democratic caucus, and what will he do about it?
Well, I think the president has given multiple speeches where he has conveyed the risk that a lack of legislation on voting rights and a lack of action on voting rights has to our democracy. So, all right, we got to move on, Brian, because we've got limited time. Karen, go ahead.
Now, the question comes up here. Why would she move on from that? It's one of their favorite subjects. Because she knows the follow-up question will be, what is the president going to do about it? They want executive orders, and the White House knows right now we are limited what we can do. So she just moves on while they want everybody to know that, or to think, because it's not the truth, that our democracy is hanging by a thread. But see, they're working on control. And right now, the most important thing is that the Democrats, they're trying to, I told you yesterday, no one, they don't have power over the Democrats. They're trying to establish their power over the party so they can get their true agenda in and past all the rebelling Democrats. It's always about control. Now, we're going to leave some other things, and we are going to go right into this. Go ahead, Johnny. I know, I just had to do something to break up the seriousness. It was getting to me. All right, we're going to look at some things here, and it might go over just a bit today, but we've got to get this in. We've got so many other things, and yeah, I'm going to take time on important transgender issues because it affects our kids. It's hurting our kids. Delta now, 83% of new U.S. cases. New York City shots drop, virus update. So people are not getting vaccinated as they were. Also, the Lambda, or however you say that, COVID variant is now in Texas. So it's detected in a Texas hospital. That's supposed to have its own problems. But here is where we get to what amounts as what will lead to and show you there has been a cover-up, ladies and gentlemen, of COVID news, and it's not good for the rest of us. White House and Pelosi aides test positive for coronavirus amid Texas lawmakers' D.C. visit. Okay, there's a picture of Pelosi there, which I'm sure makes your day. Now, the problem is with this, the aides were vaccinated. The Democrats that are fleeing Texas to stop voter suppression, which doesn't exist, are vaccinated. Fully vaccinated. We have heard from the White House, no, you will be protected. We're monitoring breakthrough cases, but they are so rare. And here we have it, and it gets deeper, ladies and gentlemen. We have been lied to. Jen Psaki confirms more undisclosed COVID cases among White House staff. What? Jen, that bastion of truth? And we're going to try to go through this quickly so we won't be too late today. But you've just, and here, look at the expression on this reporter's face after Jen gives her an answer. The question has already come up, but I didn't do the first question because I didn't think it was as good as the rest. So here we go. Take it away.
Go ahead.
Have there been any other cases of breakthrough COVID among the White House staff? And would you commit to publicly confirming cases if others occur in the future?
There have been. I will say that we, according to an agreement we made during the transition to be transparent and make information available, we committed that we would release information proactively if it is commissioned officers. We continue to abide by that commitment.
Does this give you any?
I mean, it's like I'm trying to think of a question to follow up with that. And I can't believe that's your answer. Who did you make this commitment with? So you've had other staff members besides this one get breakthrough cases, and you've never said this because they're not a known person? There are people who are fully vaccinated in the White House who are getting COVID afterwards, and you're not doing that. Well, of course they're not. It's a cover-up because they don't want people to know that can happen. Now they're changing the messaging, but all the reporters, they were all in shock. I don't know why, because Jen is what, ladies and gentlemen? A pathological... Danny, you're not being nice. I'm being just the way it is.
Just want to back up here to this breakthrough case here at the White House. You
Yeah.
confirmed today there's been a breakthrough case.
Yep.
But you're also confirming there have been other breakthrough cases.
Yep.
But you had not previously disclosed that there had been.
And that's correct. We had also committed during the transition that I think there's hundreds, thousands of people who work in the federal government, as you all know, and we had committed during the transition that if it was a commissioned officer, who are the highest level ranking people in the White House and in the in this building here, that we would make that information publicly available. We stand by that commitment.
So if it's anyone below that, you don't feel the need to let people know?
Well, again, that's the commitment we made. I'm here talking to all of you today and sharing with you information about the individual who received a positive test yesterday.
Right. More broadly,
You see, no one was talking about the hundreds of thousands of federal employees. They were talking about White House employees. And you can see the look in his face. So you don't feel the need to tell us that. No, we made a commitment. With who? Something's wrong here. It's a cup. If Trump had done anything like this, they would be nailing him. But these reporters are in shock that they would be deceived like this at the very least, and in a sense, lied to. In the truest sense of the word, lied to. How else do you say it?
Just a quick follow-up, thanks, Jen, on Kelly's question. So would the administration ever provide the number of breakthrough cases that have happened within the administration thus far? Should we not expect to receive a number on that?
I said I'd be happy to check on the status of that, sure.
And then on infrastructure.
So again, now she never said she would be happy to check on the status of that. I said I'd be happy to check on the status of that, sure. But no, they're going to, because now they're trapped. Now they are trapped. The cat's out. The reporters are like, what? Well, then that makes all of our other questions on wearing masks and everything else make more sense. Yeah, some more.
As the White House COVID team has done contact tracing, have you had any cases of staff-to-staff transmission? Have you had COVID spread in the White House through these breakthrough infections?
I would have to check with our team and see if that's been an issue. I don't have that data in front of me.
Okay. And how many commissioned officers are there? Like, what is the universe? What is the numerator and denominator in breakthrough infections that you're willing to talk about?
We can get you the exact number. I think that's publicly available, but we'll get you the exact number too.
Yeah, and
Jen wants this to drop. But see, as hard as these reporters try to be good Democrats, they are also what? Somewhere there is a heart of a reporter inside of them, and they're like, wait a minute. We need to know more about this. How many people have there been? Okay, how many commissioned officers are there? What's your count? Oh, that's general knowledge, but I'll get you a copy of it. It's a cover-up. And you can't call it anything else. They have covered up information the public should know because, well, we committed back in transition. That was 6 months ago, Jen. Plus, what? That's when everybody was getting sick with COVID. That's pre-vaccination time for most people. Why wouldn't you tell us now what's really going on? Because they don't tell you anything that's really going on. Only they act like, oh, we're the bastion of truth. Oh, where are we? I think here. And this is an unusual day for Jen. I mean, this is her being hammered, only she's not getting into it. She's sending her message to them. We're not going to discuss this. And they won't stop. Usually they will stop once she starts taking that tone with everybody, but they want some answers.
I know that you say there's no data to show that talking about breakout infections could affect people's willingness to get vaccinated. But does it create a messaging challenge for this White House to have breakthrough infections when there are people who say, why should I get the vaccine if I'm going to get COVID anyway?
Well, I think that's a little bit of projection, to be honest. I mean, what we're seeing across the country is that almost 70% of adults are vaccinated. We're seeing especially high numbers among people who are over 65, over 55, et cetera. There are also some numbers I heard about yesterday that I thought were quite incredible. 86% of teachers across the country are vaccinated. We've also seen in recent polls, which I think was a bit of a wake-up call, I think there was a CBS poll out this weekend, that individuals who are vaccinated in this poll were more concerned about the Delta variant than individuals who were not, by a pretty large margin. So I would say part of our objective here is also to communicate clearly that if you are vaccinated, you are protected. If you get a case of COVID, it will be mild. If you are not vaccinated, you could be, we hope not, but among the people who go to the hospital and get very sick from the virus. The data is very clear. So part of our objective is also not to stoke fear among people who are vaccinated, because the data is pretty clear about their protection.
Earlier, there had been a question, how do you get this messaging out now? Because people are not wanting to get the vaccine, because what good is it going to do me? I don't think there's data for that. So this report just says, well, come on, you got to understand that. Well, that's just what you're projecting. This is what we know, which is a mishmash of nothing. Because why? Because every reporter was sitting there thinking, I'm not safe. I have my vaccination. They have lied to me. I am not safe. And of course, they will say, nothing. We've never said this was 100%. We just said be better. But they lied in every way. And they continue to lie. And they're trying to hold that narrative. No, vaccination is all you need. But they're not breaking loose. And this may seem like, because she laughs at that question, at this question coming up. Oh, what can the matter be? I hope this is it. Let me check, because she laughs at this question, but the reporter didn't. The reporter's like, hey, wait a minute, but vaccinations don't necessarily help.
Related question. Does the White House know which Buccaneers players were vaccinated and which weren't? Is there any concern that the president would be standing as close to and shaking hands with unvaccinated players?
The president is vaccinated, and that means is protected. We follow public health guidelines and guidelines provided by our own medical experts.
So did you ask the players or anybody with the team to provide information on who was vaccinated and who was not?
We have certain protocols we have in place for visitors. I can see if we can provide those more detailed to all of you as well. Go ahead.
Yes, you heard Jen laughing in the background because she's got a microphone. You didn't see any of the reporters around that reporter even cracking a smile. This is something big to them, and it should be. And again, it's not just, hey, the vaccination's not all we were made to think, and yeah, it probably helps, this and that, but I thought I was safe. Because remember, your average reporter there in the press briefing room is a liberal, and they live in deadly fear of this virus. And I am not downplaying the effects of the virus. I'm just talking about the minds of people. We were in Washington, D.C. We know how the average person there thinks. Trust me. They almost mess their pants if they see someone used to walking up to them without a mask on. We saw joggers outside, obviously, joggers that would stop running to scream at you to get away because you're not wearing a mask. And all they do is keep running and go on. I mean, literally, grown men I'm going to start weeping like old women who just lost their Social Security check or something. I mean, like a little kid who didn't get candy. It was weird, to say the least. And that was the overall, I mean, people just frightened. Not trying to, my wife thought my descriptions were funny, but it's true. I was trying to find a way to let you know their average thoughts, and they think they're safe. Now this, this is why I don't watch news outlets. This is why even when I read, I weigh things out. But here we go.
My colleague reported that there have been some high-level discussions, regular high-level discussions between White House officials and Fox News about coverage related to the pandemic and vaccines over the course of the last several weeks and months. Can you elaborate at all in terms of what those entailed and if you guys feel like you've had an effect on the coverage of those issues?
Sure. Well, let me first say that we've been in touch with every network and many media outlets about coverage of COVID-19 to make sure people have accurate information, to voice concerns when we have them. And I think you all know we're never shy when we have an issue with a story. So that's really the frame we're looking at here. So we understand also the importance of reaching Fox's audience about the COVID-19 vaccines and their benefits. And like we are with all of you here today, we of course are in regular contact. And we also make efforts to have officials out on a range of networks to talk about COVID-19. We don't see it as a partisan issue. We don't see vaccines as a political issue. It's an issue about keeping Americans safe. Sure. Go ahead.
Great, thank you.
Well, you might say, well, they're talking to Facebook and all this, so why not talk to Fox News? Well, we know someone in the White House has some say with someone in Fox News because their coverage has changed and the way Fox turned on election night. And I give you these two examples of proof that this is more than just we don't like what you're saying. Picture of Tucker Carlson there. Profound benefits. Tucker Carlson says vaccine lowers COVID risk. Now, I have not watched Tucker in a while. Every now and then I see a clip. I like Tucker. Overall, he thinks right. But that is not a normal Tucker Carlson statement. And you know it's not. And then Brian Kilmeade, Fox News host in the morning. I mean, this man does everything in Fox. He has a radio show. He's all over the place. Fox News host compares unvaccinated to cliff divers, says it's their choice to die. And Steve Doocy, Peter Doocy's dad, is talking, oh, please get it, it'll help. The assertion came after another host urged unvaccinated people to get the shot, Steve Doocy. So the sentiment at Fox has changed. That after White House pressure. Do you see what they're doing? See? Oh, you've got to save lives and all this. No, it's control. Because what they're not telling you, how many people the virus is still affecting that are vaccinated. And I'm not saying don't go get vaccinated. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just putting it out there for you. They're lying and they're covering it up. And they're trying to do it by shutting down all media coverage. And this, okay, another question. U.S. raises UK, United Kingdom, Great Britain, travel alert as COVID mars freedom today. Today's, the big day, everything's supposed to open. CDC and State Department warnings come just as UK reopens. Airline shares drop and a worldwide slump in equities. Americans should avoid traveling to the UK because of a surge in that nation's spread of COVID-19, U.S. government and health officials warn. Well, has that nation done a lot to vaccinate? Oh, yeah. Then why? Well, why is there a problem there? Because the virus is breaking through. The virus is breaking through. The U.S. State Department issued its do not travel statement after the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention boosted its travel alert to very high, citing a surge in cases that puts even fully vaccinated travelers at risk for contacting and spreading coronavirus variants. Any travelers to the UK should wear a mask and stay at least 6 feet, 1.8 meters from other people, the CDC said. So see, they will put it out there on travel websites and everything. And also at the same time, the European Union is opening its borders to vaccinated Americans, but we're not opening our borders to them. And yet we're letting thousands cross our southern border with no vaccination, and many of them not even tested. It's all about control. And see, here's the thing. I'm going to just tell you. They know this variant is bad and the other variants are bad. But they want to keep our economy open because that hurts Biden. They didn't care when it hurt Trump, but it hurts Biden, which hurts the Democratic Party. And they know they're going to have a tough enough time keeping control of Congress in 22. 24 is the presidential year. And they can't have the economy slump. They can't do it, ladies and gentlemen. And I have one more question for you today, and then we'll get into God formation and move on. And there is more to show on this, but this is another area they lied to us big time, and we knew it. But, it just raises the question. Sorry, Tina, I don't have time to play your foreign affairs song. Russia says its ties to China are closer than any Cold War military alliance. China and Russia have close ties. This is happening under Biden. The whole Pacific area is on getting ready for war. And Biden was supposed to be this genius at foreign relations. Caught between China and the U.S., Asian countries stockpile powerful new missiles. So you've got all these Asian countries where they normally didn't have even that big of a, not a modern military. And now the U.S. is arming them with missiles to aim at China. They're not nuclear. But this is going on under the man that was going to cause the world to respect us. And whether they will admit it or not, we are on the verge of a war with China. Now, this is only 3 areas that I've shown you. Where are they helping? And I could show you some. Inflation's up, everything else is up. What are they doing, ladies and gentlemen? They're destroying us. And they're only 6 months in. Their rate of destruction is quicker than Trump's rate of elevation. 6 months in. Well, I was just tired of Trump. And every now and then I get tired of eating the same food, but I don't go eat poison. I just eat it and eat some, just live. All right, we'll bring things down a little bit. Where are you, Charlie? Play a little for me, buddy. I need you, Charlie. No one but us. You can't close the door tight enough, White House. We've got ways in. Yes, we do. As we are in our God formation time, let's have some fireworks to break up all this seriousness. Okay, but guess what? We're not going to get any less serious. That's the whole thing. Yeah, it's a good thing it's Taco Tuesday because it's been depressing, hasn't it? Man, what are we supposed to do? You know, you could have Santa Claus come out and pass out presents and you're still going to be depressed, right? The vaccine rate is really tearing at them. They are looking for someone to break open the way. They are considering cash payments to get the rest done, but don't know how to balance it out with those already vaccinated. So they're thinking we can pay these people to get vaccinated. They don't understand. There's some people you could offer them $1 million. They're not taking that vaccine. But they don't know how to do it here. And you know, for the person that isn't, and then the person that has been vaccinated, I'm like, where's my money? So they're working on it though. The town hall is obviously being staged. That's tomorrow night. This week just doesn't get any better, does it? It is just a sideshow for Joe to give another sales pitch. They have a they have a working medication routine, but it only works in bursts of time. So they're timing when he gets his meds to be on Wednesday night. Hopefully for him it works, and I don't know, how do you root for that? Hope it doesn't work and he's out there and somebody has to come wipe the corners of his mouth or something. I don't want to sound unkind, but every time he comes out and puts on a good performance, people are like, see, he's okay. As he takes staged questions. They cannot believe all of the challenges that have popped up around the world. They are tired and overwhelmed and expect some exit soon. That's why they hate questions on Cuba and Haiti. It's just, good grief, aren't we dealing with enough? Why won't the world stop? Well, you said you could handle it. And so far, you haven't handled anything correctly. Pray for our country, ladies and gentlemen. God bless America. God help America. Pray for the country. Pray for one another. Make your voices heard. Local level, state, national. This is horrible stuff, but we can turn it around. Pray, vote, and speak. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I really mean that. Thank you so much for watching. Please share. And unfortunately, there will be more tomorrow. Much, much more.